I have gathered information on what causes the stress in our patients, as well as the best actions to take to mitigate the stress of the environment in our veterinary clinic, to answer the research question of what the best ways to reduce stress in our patients in a veterinary setting. One of the most commonly used drugs to mitigate stress is gabapentin, which helps our patients to be calmer before visits and during transportation. This should be a last resort option because there are always side effects with drugs. We don't want to use it on everyone. So the recommendations that I have listed out for our clinic would be to install waiting room barriers, familiar stabbing techniques, desensitization visits, low stress handling techniques, and some calming music. So for using waiting room barriers, it would look like this. So in these pictures, you can see that there's solid walls that would be in between patients. In the waiting room, and obviously in the exam rooms, we have closed doors, but this lessens stress and provides a barrier between other animals. So if they're more stressed out by cats or other dogs, then we can help with that. The second recommendation would be having familiar and consistent people working with the patients during their exams. So having the same doctor, having their owner in the room. And a study conducted on 33 dogs showed that owner interaction alone can help minimize stress-related behaviors. In the study, they measured heart rate, ocular surface temperature, and measurements of cortisol levels. The study concluded that dogs with owner interaction during the exams had less stress during the visit. Having the owner present is usually a routine rule or way of doing things, but with the pandemic recently, we haven't been able to do that as much because we have to follow CDC guidelines, but hopefully we'll be able to get back to that, and it's reassuring that we know that that was a good thing to do. The environment can also make a big impact on their stress, but here you can see the cortisol levels between each visit, and this was another study that was conducted by Amanda Hampton. The comparison of stress exhibited by cats in a clinic versus a home setting. So this was the clinic setting and this was the change to the home, but this is the first visit and this is the second visit for each of them. You can see here that once they got used to the environment or had a second visit, their cortisol levels actually dropped. So that just reiterates the point of having familiar people lessen stress. You can implement desensitization visits. I actually interviewed Taylor, who works here. She had said the main reason we are unable to work with patients is to allow them to acclimate and feel comfortable in the clinic is the lack of time. She said that that more time with the patients would allow the staff and owner to work with the animal at their own pace. I had asked her about the efficiency of the clinic and how that would be improved. And she said, no offense, but I do not care about the efficiency of the hospital. I care about the quality of the animals we see, or quality of care of the animals we see. So we are really focusing on the stress levels and quality of care that we can give them. After the results from the interview, it was clear that the most pressing change that we can implement will be granting more time to patients. Time is needed to work on the animals at their own pace, which each patient is unique in what they have, so it would be a very individualized visit. And sadly, in today's veterinary world, we have very limited time because we want to be able to see and give care to as many people as we can. But by doing happy visits or desensitization visits, we're actually allowing us to just focus on the animal and their behavioral aspect. So these would be short, like 15-20 minute visits that would be in the schedule that we could use to like give the dog treats, let them be acclimated to the veterinary environment, allow them to get used to the exam room and the lobby, waiting room, everything like that. Another suggestion would be employees can use low stress handling techniques, such as slow movement, using a less is more strategy. So depending on the animal, with restraint, some animals do better when they're not actually being held. And then again, going at the animal's pace, which is hard with time, but it's something that we can work on. And then you can play calming music. So I did go over a study by Amanda Hampton, which suggests that there might be a way to make the environment more soothing by playing cat music after an exam. And cat music is just calming music that's designed for cats. So while they're waiting to go home, they are able to calm down a little bit more and hopefully reduce stress levels and negative associations with the next visit. So to bring it all together, the importance of this study was to figure out a way to implement stress and reduction. We can do this by implementing all of the recommendations, or at least a few, to follow, which include the waiting room barriers, familiar staffing, desensitization visits, low stress handling, calming music during exams, so that we can help create a low stress environment for our patients. Thank you so much for your time. I will see you next Monday.